What's going on, everybody? It's your boys out with No Days Off DFS. Here to bring you that slate breakdown for the 4-game NBA slate. After having a big slate yesterday, we were back down to 4 games, and honestly, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Yesterday's slate of games did not go how I wanted or expected them to go. Real quick housekeeping: if you guys new here, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any content. Drop a like on the video if you guys enjoy the content, you guys made some money, or if you guys just actually enjoy watching me do this. So, real quick recap yesterday. The slate started out pretty good. Wanting to stack the Pacers and the Hawks game, all that good stuff. And then, of course, last minute, 12 minutes right before lock, Luka Doncic doubtful to play. Okay, cool. Luka's out. Blasted on Patreon. Kyrie becomes priority, whatnot, or want to get to Kyrie. And I put up a new core. Everything still seemed fine. Ended up getting off of Halliburton, which I originally had as like my main piece that I wanted from that game. And I swapped, and I got Jalen Johnson, and I got DeJounte Murray. I was cool with that. Cool with that swap. You know, I played Kyrie because Kyrie to me was pretty good must. And then I went back to the well. Back to the well to Donovan Mitchell, going up against the Washington Wizards. And they did it again. Game was close in the first half. Came out in the second half. Dog shit, doo-doo. The game went left. It was just, it was, yeah, after that right there. And then not to mention, DeJounte Murray, he was cooking. He did pretty good, but legit did nothing but score. So his fantasy output was nothing at all. No assists, no rebounds like that, like he normally does. No defensive stats, nothing. Jalen Johnson, the Hawks just couldn't get it going. The Hawks looked like shit out there going up against the Pacers. Pacers blew them out of the water. Didn't get a fourth quarter from Murray. Didn't get a fourth quarter from Jalen Johnson. It was just, that went completely left. So both those pieces right there. And DeJounte Murray was low owned too. Very low owned. Single digit ownership, which made me kind of happy. I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I might have an edge still. I got Kyrie. I got Donnie. This is going to go good. Pretty good line right there. Then, of course, I played Norman Powell. Norman Powell did pretty good. And then Nikola Jovic. Man, talk about a bum of a night. So as you can see, this was my original core. And yeah, Jovic right there in the original core. Just going through it like, I had it, the studs loaded out, loaded pool of studs, like just everything I had. Breakdown looked pretty good. Props, quick hit, Dort hit, Jalen Johnson did not hit, and Strus did not hit for those. So I went 2 for 2 in regards to that. And then, of course, protect the slip. Just it was a bunch of blowouts last night. A lot of games that blew out, didn't expect for them to blow out. Updated core. Kyrie, Jovic, Powell, Jalen Green, Donnie or Hallie, depending on which one you went. Of course, I went with Donnie so I could mess around to line up some more. Didn't pay off. Maybe if I would have went with Halliburton, might have got a little bit closer. But all in all, it was not a great night for me. Hopefully, looking to bounce back tonight. Just going to keep with the process. Definitely know that we're on to something. Can't win every single night, but it's just a matter of, just staying consistent. Bankroll management, things like that, and that's all that we can do with it. All right, so looking at tonight, yesterday it's in the trash. Looking at it, we got a couple teams on the back-to-back. New York's on the back-to-back, Washington's on the back-to-back, Philly's on the back-to-back, Utah, Boston, Indy. Actually everybody tonight is on a back-to-back. Now that I think about it, everybody played yesterday, so except for the Bucks. Bucks did not play yesterday. Only team that did not play yesterday, but everyone else on this slate played yesterday. Big news: Al Horford was rested yesterday. He should be playing today. They held out Nembhard. I want to say they held out Nembhard yesterday. He might be back tonight. New York, nothing for them. Washington, nothing really to worry about for there. Utah, they so played. They got blown out by Boston, so starters should still be good and good to go for tonight. For Philly, Melton and Tobias Harris, game time decisions. Definitely want to know if they're going to be in or out in regards to what's going on with them. Milwaukee, Jay Crowder's still out. Everyone else looks good for them. For Houston, Victor Oladipo. I have not seen that. I don't think that Oladipo is back. That's different. Oladipo won't play Wednesday versus the Suns. Oladipo yesterday. Okay. Unless something else comes out, and unless RotoWire knows something that I don't know about Vic coming back, that might be huge. But Dylan Brooks, game time decision, Tari Eason, game time decision. Those are going to be the big ones that we want to actually pay attention to, because if those guys do come back, then that eats and messes with some of the other minutes. Ruled out for Friday, unavailable, blah, 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 blah. Saturday against Milwaukee. So he might be back today. And then Tari Eason, same thing for Tari. So really, only game that we got to pay attention and get some news from is going to be from that last game, the 8 o'clock game. But since all these games are pretty close for tonight, we should actually have all the news that we need for those. So definitely just going to pay attention to the news on the night. All right, heading over to DraftKings, site that I play the most on, the site that if you guys don't have an account, you want one, check the link down in the description below. All of my content is typically based around DraftKings. You can use this content for over there on FanDuel as well. I don't mess with FanDuel. I get locked out of my account almost every other month whenever I do actually play over there. And then on top of that, I've had instances for whatever reason, money just like disappears out of my account. And it's not for me playing it. Like legit, FanDuel, I don't know what it is with them, but they have the worst security for your accounts ever. The worst. It's hard. It's horrible over there. But you can definitely use all the stuff that I say over here for FanDuel as well. If you guys are wanting to do that, definitely something that you can do. And I've heard people, they've commented saying how well they've done over there on FanDuel as well. All right, so going ahead, getting through the breakdown. New York Knickerbockers taking on Washington. If we do believe that this game will stay close, let's go ahead and look at our Vegas totals. Let's investigate on this one. It's a 9-point spread in favor of New York, of course, as expected. Only game that is expected to blow out so far on the slate is going to be this Utah and Philly, which kind of makes sense because it is the Utah Jazz. Honestly, who are they going to use to stop Joel Embiid? I don't know. But right now, they got this as a single-digit spread. Possibly could be a good game. New York somehow blew out Philly yesterday. Nonetheless, this game right here, I'm gonna try to put my human nature out of my mind and not pay attention to the fact that Washington has not kept the last two games pretty close and that they have been blown out and starters have not really gotten there from the opposing team. I'm gonna put that out of my mind. We're gonna toss it to the back burner, and I'm gonna just approach this as a regular slate. Not even gonna think about possible out risk. So, looking at it, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, Isaiah Hartenstein, Josh Hart, OG, Dante, the whole starting five, of course, we all know. They're all in prime position, good spots. All of them grade out to be great plays. Most interestingly enough to me, Isaiah Hartenstein, the dude in the starting lineup, has been amazing out there. Over his last, 4 games, at least close to 30 fantasy points in all of them. Going against Philly, a Joel Embiid out there. Dropped 17 points, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. Beautiful, 39.5. Hopefully he can do the same thing against Daniel Gafford, non-defensive having ass. That'd be really great. OG was pretty high on him last night. Definitely could give us a bounce back game right here. 37 minutes, only gave us 16 fantasy points. So definitely prime consideration for a bounce back position. Brunson, 41.75 fantasy points. Can't really ask for more. Definitely let me down on his assist yesterday. But don't mind going right back to him right there. Julius Randle, opposing power forward. I mean, the list goes on and on in regards to what you want to take from over here. If I got to rank them right now, just looking at it, to me, I really do like the upside for Hartenstein. Hartenstein really kind of pops out the page to me. Then next up is going to be Brunson. I really do like the upside I could possibly get from for Brunson right there. And then the last one, depending on the minutes and rotation, it's going to either be between Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. Either one of those two guys kind of going in between. But I do like from that aspect right there. Now going over to the Washington side, again, putting it out of the back burner, putting it out of my mind. Hey, this game possibly could stay close, and if it stays close, it will be from Kyle Kuzma, Tyus Jones, Jordan Poole. Those 3 guys will be the main contributors for if this game was to stay close. So Russian roulette right there. Kuzma has literally let me down back-to-back games. Hard to trust him, but again, if the game is somehow going to stay close, if Kuzma could just find his shot, the game can be good. Poole, same thing. GPP, nobody's going to want to go to him. 0-4 last night, 23 minutes, 5.5 fantasy points. This is the game. Poole comes out. He drops 30 fantasy points out there on us. And then Tyus Jones, he's going to be dishing the rock. He's going to be playing some hard-nosed defense. He's going to score a little bit. Boom. He dropped 30 fantasy points, which is pretty good for last night. He's going to go back-to-back tonight with another 30 fantasy point game. That's what I'm calling it. I'm calling it right there. That's what it's going to be tonight. I'm not going to dig too deep into the Washington Wizards just because it is the Washington Wizards. And if we dig deep into it, we're going to talk ourselves off of it. I totally understand fading the Washington Wizards. I get it. I really do. All right, going over to Boston, who played last night, honestly, blew out the Utah Jazz. So really the starters, they didn't have to play too many minutes last night. Looking at it, Al Horford, like we said, he rested yesterday. He didn't play, so I do fully expect for him to play tonight. I will say this is not the best matchup for opposing centers. Opposing centers have not done too well going up against Indy. I will go right back to the well like I have continuously done, and that will be with opposing power forwards. They've done pretty well going up against them. Even in blowout action last night, Jalen Johnson technically still got to almost 30 fantasy points, so I'll take that from a high usage power forward and Jason Tatum, who can stuff the stat sheet, getting some rebounds, playmaking with some assists, and can play on the defensive side, but also goes out there and can drop 30 plus points realistically. So Jason Tatum be my favorite player over here from Boston, and then outside of that, JB, he'll be the second one. When you look at it and when you think about it, this will be one of those games where everyone high on Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown's going to go off. It'll be a Jaylen Brown game. Totally understand, totally get it. Don't I'm not gonna mind it. I mean, considering last night JB only had 27.75 fantasy points when he played going up against him early in the season. 25 minutes he dropped 25 fantasy points. 31 minutes he dropped 46 fantasy points. So I don't mind going with Jaylen Brown to get off of Jason Tatum. Looking at their ownerships right now, currently it's saying that Tatum is going to be lower owned than JB, but I would be surprised if that's going to actually be the case. Tatum, in both the games that he is going up against the Indiana Pacers, has dropped 50 plus fantasy points in both of those games. So again, like I said, Jason Tatum would be my favorite play from Boston if I'm going to take anyone from over here. Between the two guards and Jrue Holiday and Derek White, of course, always is going to be my favorite one between the two, just because he actually stuffs the stat sheet and he's more consistent than what we get from Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday goes out there and he just is there. He's a traffic cone half the damn time. It really doesn't have the best usage over here on this Boston team. So Derek White, if I am going to take between one of the two guards, I would rather go with him. I know he can definitely go up there and get me about close to 20 points, and he is going to stuff the stat sheet on the other end as well. So I really do like the upside for Derek. And if you're looking at a possible prop that you could take would be Derek White for his assists, and then Jason Tatum for his rebounds and assists. I took both of those already on the day, and I do like those quite a bit. Going over here to the Indy side on the other end, if the game is going to stay close and the game is going to be competitive, we already know it is going to be on the back of that boy, Halliburton. Opposing point guards, they've done decent going up against Boston. I'm not too scared of their defense or anything in the one game that he played going up against them, because he only played them once so far this season. 40 minutes, he dropped 67 fantasy points. Now, last night, coming off of a game where he only played 25 minutes. 25. This boy went out there and dropped 54. That's practically averaging 2 fantasy points a damn minute while he was out there. The crazy thing about it, he did most of that from his assists and his rebounding. Didn't really have to score. Took 6 shots. 6 shots, 10 points. Ridiculous. 25 minutes, definitely love him in play. No fatigue. Not going to worry about that. Not going to worry about that for any of the starters out here. Halliburton, prime position, prime spot. Really do like him. Going right back to the well in regards to that. Halliburton all day, every day for me, if I'm taking anything from over here. Outside of that, you can mess with some of the other players like I talked about yesterday. Depending on Neesmith and depending on Nembhard, if those guys are going to be out, then I will have some interest in TJ McConnell coming off the bench, going up against Boston. In that first game that Hallie did miss, he did play 28 minutes, and in that game, he dropped 35 fantasy points. Second game, he only played 9 minutes and still dropped 11. So he's a really good fantasy point per minute producer whenever he is out there on the court. 4,100, don't mind that, especially if he's going to at least be somewhat in the rotation. Don't hate that at all, especially if Nembhard and Neesmith are going to miss. That's if they miss. And then, of course, if they're going to miss, then, of course, I'll go right back to the well with Mathurin, which I talked him up yesterday. 18 minutes, went out there and dropped 28.75 fantasy points. I will go right back to that well again if those players were to miss, because then that might mean some more time. I'm not going to expect a blowout. I definitely do think if the game had stayed closer, he would have probably played about 25 minutes and definitely could have smashed even more yesterday in regards to that. Outside of that, just got word that Buddy Hield, he is on the trade market, so maybe they might run Buddy a little bit more, get him some more exposure out there. There is no telling in regards to that aspect, but Buddy Hield, just keep that in mind. He is on the trade block. That came out, rumors came out today. Sometimes players, they play worse whenever they're on the trade block. Sometimes they play better. Definitely something to keep in mind. Not going to mess with the centers. Not going to mess with the opposing power force, things like that. Miles Turner, GPP option. Played pretty good last night. 42.25 fantasy points. And in the 2 games that he has played going up against Boston so far this season, he dropped 22 fantasy points and 37 fantasy points. So something to keep in mind, something to mess with right there if you guys are considering that. But not something that I'm too heavy on in regards to it, because just going to be very honest, I don't trust Miles Turner. I've always hated playing Miles Turner. Going over to Utah Jazz, taking on the 76ers. This is just going to be very much just interesting to see how they play coming into the back end of the back-to-back, considering that they got their asses whipped last night, only 23 minutes and so for some of the starters. If you want to mess with anything over here, Lauri Markkanen would be your main guy. Colin Sexton would be my second guy. Jordan Clarkson would be my third guy if I mess with anything. Outside of that, I'm not going to go too deep. If Tobias Harris is to miss, then maybe we can go with a Fontecchio. Might have an easier matchup at the small forward position, something like that. But other than that, everyone over here is all GPP options for me. Not anything that I'm really too heavy on over there for the Utah Jazz. Might be just an X on the slate for me, as I don't really believe that anyone is in prime position to have a good night. And then over here for the 76ers, of course, just looking at them, it is going to be Joel Embiid, top main play. As always, JoJo should be able to go out there and dominate Walker Kessler or John Collins, depending on who they decide they want to put at the center position. And then if Tobias Harris and Melton miss, or if one of the other miss, Kelly Oubre should still be in the starting lineup. And I don't mind going right back to Kelly O. Has played very well. Again, has looked better with Joel Embiid out there. So I don't mind going right back to Kelly Oubre Jr., especially if one of these two were to miss. His minutes will be secured, and he will go ahead and get that burner run. If the game blows out, still, I do believe Kelly Oubre should still be able to get there. And if it blows out, why is it going to blow out? That's going to be because Joel Embiid just pops off and has a really great game, or Tyrese Maxey pops off and has a really great game. So that's what I'm saying. I don't mind playing any of the 76ers, because if the game is going to be able to get out of hand, it will be on the back of, hey, their star players are going out there and doing what they're supposed to do to put it and get it out of hand. Outside of that, not going to go too deep, mess with any of the other low tier players. Now, if Tobias Harris and Melton do play, if they both play, then still Kelly Oubre would be off the bench. I'd have less interest in Kelly Oubre. We'll go more with Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey, but outside of that, not going to force anything from over there. Milwaukee taking on the Utah Jazz. Definitely coming off of a really great game, going up against the I said Milwaukee taking on Utah Jazz. Milwaukee taking on the Houston Rockets. Coming off a really great game, going up against San Antonio Spurs. Really glad that we were able to nail that on the head right there. Giannis, Dame Lillard, Chris Middleton, all these guys should be in consideration and play. Hopefully Middleton sit back, but the Bucks on Thursday, despite the fact they lost 13 minutes. So all right, so no reasoning why he didn't play in the second half. They just limited him, but he was playing really well before they rested him. So there's no injury that we got to worry about with Chris Middleton. So definitely wouldn't mind going right back to Chris. Really good usage and minutes and burn while he's out there on the court. In the game, going up against Houston Rockets early in the season, he played 29 minutes, dropped 25 fantasy points. So he's right now right around his 30th minutes. I definitely do feel like he can get you about 35-ish fantasy points as long as he goes ahead and gets his burner run. Damian Lillard in his first game going up against Houston Rockets. This was one of his big blow-up games that he had so far this season. He played 37 minutes, dropped 70 fantasy points in that game. Definitely took him a minute to get going, especially in the second half of this game going against the Spurs. Don't mind or hate going to Dame right here if I am going to pay up for one of these studs. Honestly, don't mind any of these guys because it is playing Houston on their home court. Houston does play 10 times better at home. So all these guys are honestly going to be in play for me. I'm not going to mess with Brook Lopez. I really don't like targeting opposing centers going up against Shane Goat. But prior game, played 31 minutes, dropped 30 fantasy points, so definitely is not a must, but you can go ahead and mess with that right there. It really is just going to be mainly the starters over there for me. Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Damian Lillard over there for me. I will put more detail on my post whenever I do post it in regards to who I really want to go with. Going over here to the other side, Shango, 8-6. I do like targeting opposing centers going up against Brook Lopez defense. 31 minutes, dropped 41 fantasy points going up against them. Played 33 minutes last night. Not going to worry about that. Definitely feel like he should be able to play again, be pretty good on tonight. And then, of course, Freddie V going up against Damian Lillard defense. We do know that opposing guards, of course, what do? They shoot threes. They kill it. They do very well. If Trey Jones, is it Trey Jones or Tyus Jones? Tyus Jones going up against Milwaukee, can go out there for the Spurs and drop 30 fantasy points, and he's not really that not that great of a player. I do believe that Freddie V can go out here and drop a great game. 39 minutes, drop 40 plus fantasy points going up against him the first time in the first matchup. So I don't mind that. Tari Easton, Dylan Brooks, depending on if they're back or not, that's just gonna really mess with Tate, with Whitmore, with Green off the bench, and then maybe some of these lower tier like Jabari Smith Jr. and Jalen Green in the starting lineup. But to me, the safest two is going to be Şengün and Freddie V. If these guys were to miss, then of course it's going to bump up Tate, it's going to bump up Whitmore, it's going to bump up Jabari Smith Jr., those guys like that. But outside of that, I'm not going to worry about any of these lower tier guys outside of the main two starters that I'm really going to want to focus on. All right, guys, that is going to be the breakdown for today. Hopefully, you guys got a little bit something out of it. I am going to go ahead and try to get some stuff posted early for today to just chill out and relax. If you guys got any questions, and if you are sub to the Patreon, you can comment on those posts, and I can talk to you on Patreon if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns. And then again, as always, talk me down in the YouTube comment section. I will respond. Working on getting a package set up on YouTube for if you guys don't want to mess with the Patreon, you guys want just the stuff on YouTube. It will be cheaper than what the Patreon is, just because it is going to only be my stuff that I will be posting. So definitely check that out if you guys are interested. I will have that dropping hopefully sometime next week. With that being said, it's your boys though. Peace.